Now, the corpse of a baby boy is currently buried at a home in the Paraku community at Bokobi here in the Greater Accra region in a case of an unauthorized interment that's got residents troubled. Quite apart from the health implications of the burial, the residents are concerned about the activities of the pastor who is said to have buried the corpse and how the death occurred. Neighbors who alerted the police about the suspicious activity in the pastor's house believe the boy may have been killed as part of a religious sacrifice. Though the police stormed the house and caused the arrest of the parents of the deceased and the pastor, they have since been granted bail. The conduct of the pastor has, however, left the neighbors wondering if he has managed to spellbind the police in any way. Now, joining us is MFA Nancy Jiradozi and the crew got a taste of what the residents have had to endure from the pastor, curses and all, just because they dared to venture and ask questions.
I have traveled more than an hour from the center of Accra to Abokobi, a community in the Ga East district, to meet Chris Edu Hesse, an opinion leader in the community. He and other residents say they've lived in fear for the past week after discovering a grave next to a single-room building concealed at a corner of an acre of land surrounded by weeds. The other part of the land looks like a garden with foodstuffs like plantain grown on it.
The opinion leaders came that there has been some problem, so they needed me to go to the police station to see what we can do. So I accompanied them. When we went, we saw one of the boys who lives here with us in the police cells with another boy. That boy there, actually, I don't know him, but I went there to ask them what brought them there. And the guy said, oh, he went to be Odumase Tokwa. The name is Odumase Tokwai or something, to visit this friend because they are into fellowship. When he went, they went to preaching, town outpreaching. When they came in, it's like the father, their leader's boy, passed on. So he went, he wrapped the body to him, and he brought the body here to come and bury it.
I decided to go to the site. It was scary. As we searched, we landed our feet on a heap of sand, covered with roofing sheets and weeds. After our discovery, we had hints the suspect was in the room peeping through the window. We quickly knocked at his door, and Osumafo, as he wants to be known, stepped out. A man probably in his late 30s, barefooted, dressed in a pair of loose-fitting trousers held together with a rope. He is not prepared to speak to the media unless God wants him to.
God does not like technology. What he expects of us is propagating his message to the world. God has not instructed us to comment on this issue. We only act on the instructions of God, and I have not been instructed to comment on this issue.
He would also not confirm or deny the allegations he killed and buried the boy.
No one can kill without the permission of God. If God doesn't allow it, it would never happen.
We couldn't even leave without a warning from the evangelist.
If you record me on tape, remember, God will deal with you.
Romans 9:18.
We left Osumafo and the body of the 1.5-year-old baby. But the residents are disappointed with how the police have dealt with the issue.
And then after 1 week later, the police has to release these boys on bail. Meanwhile, the dead body where they buried him is wrong. And I was thinking the police will say, okay, let's go and remove the body for autopsy. Let's see what killed the body first, before they will decide to even bury them. Now you bury them, they are free. The body is still also lying there. And we don't know what killed the body. If it's a contaminated disease that killed this boy, it means we all in the area are supposed to be affected.
The people of Abokobi demand answers. The 1.5-year-old baby deserves justice. In writing the story, I just decided to Google what Abokobi meant. Interestingly, it comes with 3 words from Chi and Ghana languages, Abo, Ko, and Bi, which means a rock, bush, and child. Traditionally, it means a child lost in rocks in the bush. Coincidence? Nancy Amafa Jadosi, Joy News.
Let's go over the phone line now and speak with Stephen Akoya, who is the Adenta Divisional Crime Officer. Thank you for making time to speak with us. Now, what do we know about the circumstances under which this young boy died and how he got buried in this Abokobi community?
Thank you. Good evening. Our information is that the parents of the deceased, that's the mother and the father, they were living in Abokobi, and because of their religious belief, and they've done a religious set where some of the rules are that they don't go to hospital when they are sick, they don't take medicine, they don't take injections, among others. So they, according to them, they were forced to leave the family house and settle at Tupai, Nasanti Achim, with their children. And our information is that on the 24th, the child was found dead in the morning. I think he was sick in the evening the previous day, but was not sent to the hospital. So when he died, he was not sent. The body was not sent to the morgue, the hospital, to be deposited at the morgue for the necessary investigation, that is the postmortem, to be made to ascertain the cause of death. And the so-called pastor, who happened to be their friend and a member of their religious sect, was also with the family when the incident happened. So he was asked to send the body to Abokobi. I don't know why he was sent there. According to, when we asked the father of the deceased, he said they wanted him to take lead with the child and inform the other family members of what has happened. But I think he also followed up, and later on, the deceased was buried where the so-called pastor was living.
DSP Akoya, do you know if this burial is authorized?
It is not authorized. It is not, and that is why, even though we don't know the cause of death, and it is legally mandated that when somebody dies without being admitted at the hospital for more than 24 hours, it becomes an inquest case, and postmortem has to be conducted to ascertain the cause of death. And once that is not done, it is an offense, and that is hindrance of inquest.
All right.
And that is initially the offense that we are being held for.
All right. As we speak now, our understanding is that the boy is still buried there. At what point are we going to, or is the body going to be exhumed for you to conduct whatever investigations you have to conduct?
But I have directed that the process be started, and we have started the process. We need to go to court to obtain exhumation order. We ourselves, the police, cannot organize any exhumation without an authorized order from the court. And that is what we are waiting to obtain before we can liaise with the environmental health units of the district assembly, and together with the pathologists, that when the body is exhumed, postmortem will be conducted on the spot, and then probably be buried. The body will be buried at the appropriate place after the exhumation.
All right. Now, some of the neighbors we have been speaking with suggest or feel that this so-called pastor has been able to cast a spell on the police, and so you're unable to actually deal with him the way you're supposed to. How accurate is that?
That is totally false. He cannot cast any spell on us. He was arrested together with the child's father. My information is that they were in custody. The offense for which they are being held is also bailable. So they were in custody for 2 days or so, and they were granted bail. The matter has not died. We are still investigating it. It is likely that they are going to be put before court while the process of exhuming the body also proceed.
All right. Thank you very much, DSP Stephen Yakowa. He is the Adenta Divisional Crime Officer. Now, moving on to other stories. 4 Kumasi Zongo youth and 2 others of Christian faith killed by the police for alleged robbery in the Manse West District will be buried on Thursday. Ahead of the interment, community leaders say they will deploy security personnel to maintain order and ensure it is incident-free. It is the outcome of discussions between families of the bereaved and the Council of Zongo Chiefs and was announced to journalists at a news conference in Kumasi. Ohim Interior has more.
The killing of 7 people, one of who was buried 2 weeks ago, sparked off violent protests from Zongo youths who maintained the deceased were innocent. A 5-member independent committee set up to investigate the killing of the 7 people is preparing to wind up its work. The Council of Zongo Chiefs says burial service will be held for all remaining 6, 4 Muslims and 2 Christians. 4 Muslims have been identified as Musa Seidu, also known as Baba Kande, Mohammed Bashir Musa, Mohammed Kamal and Barbond. The Christians are Razak Sule, also known as Frenchman, and Oliver Conlan, or Rasta. Secretary of the Council of Zongo Chiefs, Alaji Musa Shuabu Sharif, gives details of the burial arrangement.
During the meeting held on 1st September 2018, and resolved as follows, that the remaining 6 bodies will be buried with the following schedule program. The 4 Muslims by name, Musa Seidu, Aka, or also known as Baban Kande, Mohammed Bashir, also known as Soja, Mohammed Kamal, known as Tanko, and Babund, also known as Freeboy, will be buried on Thursday, 6th of September 2018. The last prayer, which the Muslim call Janaiza, will be held simultaneously at 10 a.m. Kumasi Central Mosque here. There will be a brief adua at the Central Mosque after the burial on that very day. The 2 Catholic Christian brothers by name Razak Sule, aka Frenchman, and Oliver Conla, aka Rasta, will also be buried on Saturday, the 8th of September 2018 at the Tafo Cemetery after the Christian prayers. The final adua for all the deceased will be held at the Kumasi Central Mosque on Sunday, the 9th of September 2018 at 11 a.m.
Alhaji Sharif says adequate security will be provided to ensure violent-free burial service. He warned the council will not cover up anyone for acts of misbehavior at the funeral service.
We are appealing. We tell them we don't sanction that and we will not sanction that. And then the security personnel will be there. Anybody who does anything untoward, he will be picked up. And you should not think that we will come and help them because we've appealed to them. So we are telling that everybody, let me use this opportunity once again to appeal on behalf of the youth, the people, and the Zongo community, and our elders, the second Zongo, to once again use this media also to appeal to all of them. Please, let's comport ourselves. These our brothers have been long in the fridge. They won't also have their peace in perpetuity. Let us go and bury them and then come back with belief. What they need now from us is the adua, is the prayers. We, the Muslim, believe is prayers that the fellow needs, and that is so we'll come back together and we'll pray for them.
Meanwhile, the Council of Zongo Chiefs says it is satisfied at the work of independent committee set up by the government to probe the killings. Alabi Musa Sharif again.
Actually, since when the state said they were going to establish an independent committee of inquiry, we're all happy, we're all gladdened. Certainly, we have no doubt to doubt the work that they are doing, because the committee is formed by competent people to handle the situation. What we are doing, we are only waiting for the outcome of whatever the committee will say. Then we'll also have a decision to make. But for now, we are very happy with the work they did. So we'll wait until the final determination of the committee is out in the public domain. Then whatever that we have to say, with the advice of a lawyer, then we'll make a statement.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Uni Bank reporting.
Still to come in the bulletin, government makes U-turn on controversial revised merit deal and commits to now make good its obligations to the company. And organizers of protest march against the country's high unemployment rate say they will press on with their efforts to draw the attention of government to the situation despite the poor turnout. Stay tuned, we'll be back in a bit. The Economic Fighters League says it will petition government on the high rates of youth unemployment in the country. According to its leader, Ernesto Yeboah, the group is collating data at the regional level on the number of jobless youth to present to the government. Mr. Yeboah was speaking to the media after a protest march in Accra that failed to attract the kind of numbers they had anticipated. There is more in the following report.
These are the chants of the members of the Economic Fighters League who took to the streets to demonstrate against the lack of jobs for young people in the country. They accused government of creating ghost jobs. In Ghana, it is estimated that a sizable number of the youth are unemployed.
More often than not, we would hear government spokespersons come out banding figures around, figures nobody can ever relate to. In fact, just yesterday I heard the Labour Relations Minister say that they have employed 1 million people. None of my family members who are unemployed have had, are part of this 1 million. Now, and it appears to us that the political leadership of this country is only interested in creating ghost jobs. Now what we are looking out for are real jobs for real people. So in every region, we are simply saying that if you need a job, come and write your name and let us process. At the end of the day, it becomes the basis on which we will cry for jobs.
Some participants of the demonstration expressed their dissatisfaction with the government preferring solutions to the unemployment situation in the country.
Very difficult in Ghana living without a job. At least you wake up, you have a lot of things to do. It's all about money. You have to find something to do. And through this exercise, I expect at least the government to do something about it. For us at least to get something to do and then something in our lives.
Lack of prudent management of our resources. When you go to other countries, like United Arab Emirates, they don't pay income tax, but they are managing their resources prudently. So their people are enjoying from it. And that is what we also want from this nation. That our government that is sleeping now must wake up. Yes. Let the government wake up and find jobs for our jobless youth.
As a member, what are your expectations from the procession?
Okay, so at the end of the day, what we seek to achieve is to let the people, powers that be, know that the youth of Ghana are sick and tired of being home, looking for a job. They want a secure job.
With unemployment rate set to be escalating daily, young people like those gathered to demonstrate are getting desperate for jobs.
Young people, why are they stealing our resources?
Well, some staff of Top Core Logistics Services, a subsidiary of the group to which the now defunct Uni Bank belongs, are demanding the payment of their August salaries and a severance package. The workers, mostly dispatch riders, pretty much lost their jobs with the collapse of Uni Bank and have been told by management to return the motorbikes or be arrested. Some of them spoke to my colleague Ernest Menu.
My name is Godfred. We are here just to seek our welfare, as in we've not received our salaries, but we've been threatened by our management. And so
when you say you've not received your salaries, how many months?
Actually, it's for August salary is not received.
Okay. So you have not received your salary for the month of August. What is the communication you are getting from your management?
It's unfortunate there has not been any effective communication apart from this morning where we had a call that we should attend a meeting. Honestly, I didn't even hear the call for the meeting, so I didn't turn up. But what I heard from some of my colleagues was that they were told their checks or whatever has been freezed, or I don't know how to term it, but that is the most important thing they were told. So they were told they were expecting their salaries within the week. That's all I know.
And all your checks went through the now defunct Uni Bank?
Yes.
Okay. We don't know what the problem is. What we want from them is our salary. And up to now, they didn't say anything to us.
But what I want to find out is that you still have your jobs, do you?
No.
You don't have your jobs? You've been sacked?
Yes, we are not being sacked, but they are not saying anything. All they are saying is we should come and pack the bikes.
You've been asked to pack your bikes, yeah, but you've not been given letters saying that you've been sacked.
No.
So what exactly did they tell you?
They call us meeting and tell us that we should wait. The salary will come. When they give us the date will pass, they won't give it to us. If we ask, they'll give us another day, and they keep giving us the. Today is 3rd. More time, they pay us 26th, 25th, 24th, and today is 3rd. So we decide to take the motorbikes and see if they will pay us. But yesterday, they are threatening that we should bring the bikes. They will come our homes with police.
They are threatening that they would cause you arrest if you do not return the bike.
You see, so that's why we also come here for some advice or something.
But when were you asked to go home? When were you asked to go?
It was Friday. That was last week Friday.
So last week Friday, you were told to pack the motorbikes and go home.
Yeah, last week Friday they asked her to pack and go home.
And they didn't tell
they didn't tell us anything. They just asked her to pack. And we have a family, and then what we need is they should give us our pay and then our beneficiaries.
We're taking a break here now to bring you business news with Emmanuel Abajuyafi. Do stay tuned.
Hello again, good evening to you. Welcome to business. Senior Minister Yao Safo says local vehicle manufacturing company Kantanka Automobile will equally benefit from incentives to be granted German automaker Volkswagen. Government has come under some criticisms after signing a memorandum of understanding for VW to establish a car assembling plant in the country. But Senior Minister, in an interview, noted it is not in government's interest to neglect the local manufacturing sector.
The senior minister made the revelation in an interview at the sidelines of the 2018 Ghana Economic Forum in Accra. Volkswagen and Government of Ghana last week signed a memorandum of understanding to establish a car assembling plant by first quarter of next year. As part of the MOU, there will be a preferential procurement policy for locally assembled vehicles. According to Senior Minister Yao Osafo-Mafo, Kantanka will enjoy same benefits as VW.
One obvious is support and promotion of indigenous Ghanaian businesses to make sure that certain incentives given to foreign entrepreneurs are also provided to local entrepreneurs. For instance, whatever we've given to VW to do assembly plant in Ghana will be extended to Kantanka to also do its assembly plant. We've got to make sure that we provide a lot of encouragement for local production. We've got to protect inverted commerce, also industrial base. If indeed we are getting a lot of dumping meaning that substandard goods are being inflicted on Ghana, then we as government should take steps to make sure that goods which come to this country meet our standard, meet the standard set up by our Ghana Standard Authority.
This year's forum is under the theme Building a Competitive Economy for Sustainable Growth. Managing Director of Barclays Bank Ghana, Abna Osai Poku, called for the support of the Bank of Ghana in the ongoing banking sector reforms. She is confident that the country will soon come out of the financial crisis.
You know, in early 2017, the Bank of Ghana embarked on a journey to reform, strengthen, and push the Ghanaian banking sector in a position to support the ambitious and necessary agenda of the government to transform the economy, industrialize the nation, and create jobs. As most of you may be aware, these are busy and very tough times for our regulator, for bank shareholders, the boards, employees, and perhaps even some of our customers. I urge all stakeholders to continue to support the Bank of Ghana to ensure the successful delivery of this very significant transformation. For over 100 years, and to be precise, 101, Barclays Bank Ghana has supported the government and played a leading role in growing and strengthening Ghana's financial and banking system.
Ghana Economic Forum is designed to support the development of Ghanaian businesses and contribute to their international promotion.
Meanwhile, government is expected to put together a comprehensive automotive industrial policy which will incentivize and facilitate vehicle manufacturing and assembling in the country. The policy is one of the requirements by VW before establishing an assembly plant in the country. Managing Director of Universal Motors, sole distributors of Volkswagen vehicles in Ghana, Subi Akkad, has been speaking with Joy Business about plans to establish the assembling plant under the One District, One Factory initiative.
Volkswagen and the government of Ghana last week signed a memorandum of understanding to establish a car assembling plant by the first quarter of 2019. As part of the MOU, there will be a preferential procurement policy for locally assembled vehicles. Speaking in an interview with Joy Business, Subi Akkad, Managing Director of Universal Motors, authorized importers of VW vehicles, said Ghana will have an auto policy to benefit the entire industry.
I really want to emphasize on it. We are not taking anybody from what they are doing now. On the contrary, we want to work with everybody in a way that can help improve the car industry in Ghana. And they can work with us and with any other manufacturer, whether it is Volkswagen, Nissan, BMW, Toyota, Mitsubishi, anybody else. Instead of going and bring cars that are not suitable for our market in terms of road, in terms of weather, everything, they can work directly with us and they can work in the proper way.
He said both parties are considering the establishment of an assembling plant under the One District, One Factory program.
Just to put the factory in place, to put the assembly plant in place. That is not going to be in Accra.
Okay.
But what we can do to meet the time frame and everything, we can set up something temporarily in Accra while the construction is going on, so that we can start producing and put the manufacturing. But no, it's not going to be Accra. The idea is, again, even Accra is the biggest market, but we have really to understand about the issue of the one factory, one district as well.
So he spoke on other initiatives currently under consideration.
Start manufacturing, because it is one of their policies, one of their manufacturing policies, not only, for example, to do assembly plant for automobile. You know, their priority is agriculture, agro-industry. There is a petrochemical industry, there is a services industry, and one of their points of attention is the auto industry as well.
The memorandum also includes developing fully fledged sales and services network in Ghana, as well as a training academy for production and after sales.
Trade volume between the United Arab Emirates and Ghana has reached $2.7 billion compared with $2.4 billion in 2016 at the official Trade Investment Forum in Accra. Under Secretary for the Arab Ministry of Economy, Abdullah Saleh, attributed the surge to trade in Ghana's gold.
Statistics indicate that the volume of trade between Ghana and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, reached $2.7 billion at the end of 2017, compared with $2.4 billion in 2016. Predominantly, gold has remained the commodity of trade for the United Arab Emirates over the past years, despite the fact that Ghanaians embark on a lot of trade travels into Dubai and other prominent cities of the UAE. However, the UAE says it wants to now diversify into other forms of trade opportunities with Ghana. The Undersecretary of the UAE's Ministry of Economy, Abdullah Saleh, noted that as his country is considered a gateway in the Middle East, it hopes to capitalize on Ghana's unique position as a gateway to West Africa.
I don't see that it is good enough. Looking to the potential that each country can offer to the others, I think there is a space to double this number easily. I think Ghana considered as a gateway for the region here, for West African countries, and UAE is a gateway for the region in the Middle East. So I think connecting two hubs together is very important, and the potential of trade and increasing the figures is not a challenge for us. We would like to increase our bilateral economic relations with Ghana. We have an excellent government-to-government relations, and we are looking to facilitate the channels.
Abdullah Saleh was speaking on the sidelines of a GIPC Dubai Business Forum organized in Accra. On his part, head of Dubai Chamber in Ghana, Cyril Dakwa, mentioned some challenges that undermine Ghanaian investors doing business in the UAE and outlines some solutions.
Access to market intelligence, and that is one of the reasons why Dubai Chamber is increasing its presence in Ghana. This is because, before you do any meaningful business, you need to have that market penetration. And we have a membership base of over 220,000 members. So as part of our efforts to help local companies integrate seamlessly into Dubai and the UAE, we are providing this database and information to local companies so that before they even start doing business, they would have been in contact with some of the potential off-takers and potential partners in Dubai to make things very, very easy for them.
The Dubai Chamber has a database that helps local companies integrate seamlessly with their counterparts in the UAE.
That's all in business tonight. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abwaji. Have a good evening.
The government has returned to the negotiating table with power company Ameri, with Energy Minister John Peter Amewu, assuring government is committed to paying debts due the company in excess of $80 million. This position is a sharp departure from that held by former Energy Minister Boakye Jakun that saw government default in its commitments to the company, forcing the threats of legal action. Ms. Amewu, while touring some power plants, told journalists the aim of government is to have all plants up and running to to ensure stable power supply. There is more in the following report.
The minister, accompanied by top officials of the ministry, had their Sogli thermal plant as their first port of call. The plant, which is operated largely by Chinese nationals, had its top managers meet the minister to brief him on the state of their operations. Mr. Meu was concerned about the lack of Ghanaian representation in the company's top management.
So we expect that you begin to carry some of the Ghanaians along, because the joy of investment is also a joy of leaving something behind. If after 20, 30, 45 years, soon as Sogli is no longer here, you'll be happy to say that these are the Ghanaians that we left behind to do that. So subsequent arrangements, I want to see how you bring Ghanaians, to the highest level of management. And that will be a credit to you, and also the government will also be extremely happy.
Mr. Meu assured of government's commitment of ensuring availability of gas for the company's operations.
So this project of bringing at least 70 to 80, scout from Takoradi to Tema, I think is going to help, most of the power plants here. We will ask for your collaborations and also for assistance to make sure that these things are done and done very promptly.
The minister also visited Sen Power Generation Company Limited. The company, which is largely Ghanaian owned, hopes to start operations by November 2018. Mr. Meu, speaking to pressmen on plans to ensure stable supply of power, said government will honor its obligations, including what is due Ameri.
Definitely, government is examining the conditions, and as and when time is right, we'll let Ghanaians know exactly what is. But it's looking good.
Are we paying our debts?
I mean, this government is noted for paying debt, so yes, I'm sure we should be able to do that.
The Energy Ministry is meanwhile concerned about erratic supply of gas from Nigeria through the West African gas pipeline. An option under consideration is to have gas from petroleum company ENI's operation in Takoradi supplied to plants in Tema.
The Ghana Police Service will soon withdraw all escort and security guard services rendered to private individuals and groups to allow private security operators take up that job. This was revealed at a meeting between the Ghana Police Service and the Association of Private Security Operators in Ghana. There's more in this report by Kingsley Otu.
The legislative instrument of 1992 established the operations of private security companies to augment government's efforts of providing security in the country. In February 2017, a directorate was established at the Ghana Police Service to oversee and regulate the activities of these private security companies. The Director General of Private Security Operations, DCOP Edward Tabri, said the police service will act in accordance with best practices, explaining police guard and escorts will be provided to only those who deserve it.
People who occupy certain positions, who may now be enjoying the services of police guards and escorts, are no more going to enjoy. It's categorized, and we make sure those who deserve, and that's the best practice we have in the world. Not everybody has security for himself coming from the central government, that's the police institution. So the private security should now tap into that.
He said from November 1, the Ghana Police Service will clamp down on all private security companies who fail to wear the legally approved uniforms for their operations.
November 1st, where we are going to enforce strictly the wearing of one or two of the uniforms these PSOs have adopted. At least 1 year is too much or too adequate for people to get their acts together and then conform to the wearing of this particular selected uniform, so that you and I will be able to figure out who is flouting the rules. IGP says, look, you are complementing the effort of the police in providing security for the people. Let us see you openly doing that in a very, decent manner.
To deal with the unscrupulous elements who get recruited into private security companies, Shadrach Mensah, who spoke on behalf of the Interior Minister, said the ministry is in collaboration with the police and the Association of private security operators to establish a database that will provide a pool of licensed security officers from which the security personnel will be recruited.
In order for us to create a comprehensive database for these private security guards, what we are going to do is this. Those individuals who wanted to be employed by private security organizations have to enroll on a short course of which police, in collaboration with association, is going to provide. That training would include their background checks and all the necessary checks to clear them on security, as well as providing them with the basic security training.
Kingsley Otu's report for Joy News.
Up next, we bring you Showbiz. But in a related development, a deal between the government of Ghana and its Chinese counterpart, which will see infrastructure projects being developed for Ghana in return for a share of its bauxite, is the source of a raging debate over whether the first $2 billion involved constitutes a loan or a simple barter agreement. Whilst the government insists it is a barter, the minority NDC argues it is a loan. The classification is important because Ghana's debt stock of at least 120 billion cedis will shoot up if the China deal is classified as a loan. Former Finance Minister Seth Terkper, who also agrees it is a loan, explained on Joy FM's Super Morning Show why the classification is important.
It's a loan. It's a loan. Barter comes in just in the form of payment, whether you are giving goods which will be valued to pay for the loan, or you sell the goods yourself and you pay cash. So let's get it right. It's a loan. Then the question the minority put is whether it's public debt. We are back to the same question. I subscribe to self-financing because in the smart borrowing we have self-financing. And let me remind listeners that Terminal 3 is based on self-financing. Terminal 3 is based on we taking the airport tax that comes to government and the airport tax that went to airport company, and saying, one, the airport tax is forex, most of it, if not all, and two, it is enough to pay for a terminal. But when it comes to barter arrangements or whatever, the question is, what is new? What is new? We just spoke about CDB, we just spoke about the gas processing plant, we just spoke about the pipelines. The CDB loan is based on a Chinese company of taking Ghana share or GNPC share of the oil revenue. The only thing we didn't do, we didn't go into barter. We say sell it because we want Ghanaians to be clear. So it's sold at Brent, which is the international, it's earmarked to Brent. And the money comes to Bank of Ghana, we escrow it and use it to pay.
Okay.
So this is one example of we taking a natural resource, not battering the resource, because the Petroleum Revenue Management Act will not permit it. But taking the revenue, it permits that you can take the revenue, like we did a sinking fund to pay the bond, to pay for the loan. And that's how we got the gas processing plant, a tribal gas processing plant, and the pipelines, which today is bringing gas and producing power.
In its attempt to get an independent pronouncement on what the deal is, the minority wrote to the International Monetary Fund to inquire. The IMF country representative Natalia Koleandina has, however, just indicated she would have to refer the matter to their headquarters in Washington, D.C. Joy News has obtained a copy of the reply to the minority's letter, and I'll bring you excerpts of it. So it reads, Dear Honorable Idrisu, thank you for your letter expressing concerns about the infrastructure agreement between the government of Ghana and Sino Hydro Corporation. You asked the IMF opinion on whether the agreement between the government of Ghana and Sino Hydro Corporation should be classified as government debt under the program and whether it would contribute to the stock of government debt. We will use the definition of government debt in the technical memorandum of understandings, which has not changed since the inception of the program, to make this decision. Given the complexity of the transaction, I am unable to answer your question immediately. Been in consultations with headquarters, including the legal department, and we're going to discuss this issue with the authorities during the upcoming 7th review mission under the extended credit facility. Apologies for the late reply to your letter, and yours sincerely. And this is signed by the resident representative of the IMF, Natalia Collian-Dina. In other news, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has indicated there has been a decline in revenue mobilization due to a directive by government for all customs border posts within the country to be opened. The Chief Revenue Officer, Senor Teria Ameibo, indicated the whole sector, which he heads now, struggles to raise 1/8 of the annual income it previously accrued. He is appealing to government to overturn the directive to enable them shore up revenue and reduce transnational crimes. He was speaking at the reopening of an immigration checkpoint at Sukuma in the Sujaman district of the Eastern region. There's more in this report by Fred Kwame Asare.
In June 2017, government adopted the open border policy with the Hlau border going 24 hours. President Akufo-Addo said government's open border policy will not undermine Ghana's economy as measures put in place will facilitate and encourage Ghanaian businesses to be more competitive in the sub-region and beyond. The Vice President had directed all customs border posts in the country to be opened with the exception of the Dabala and Ulubo border posts. This was adhered to and all customs border posts in the country were opened, where custom officers do not interfere to stop vehicles to check and fish out goods that have evaded tax, among others. This development, the Chief of Esikuma Nana Abuko Kofi II says, led to the decline of revenue mobilization and possibly contributed to the increase in transnational crimes in the country.
I'm particularly grateful because I know I have traveled far and wide, and actually I've worked for government in anti-smuggling. And I know that our sectors, permit me to use the word, our borders are porous. Now, in all that, the convergence of all the borders are in Esuma. Quite recently, immigration is gone. Customs have opened their doors wide. I don't know what is going on. Are we leaving the security of this nation for people to come through porous borders and bring goods also to go and pass? For the customs people, I only appeal to them that they better stand up. We are losing a lot of revenue because of this thing that we are putting there. I can assure you. I know you know better, but I just don't get it. That when we want revenue the most, we'll open a revenue collection point for just everybody to pass through. When we know that we are not able to check them directly at the border. But no matter what happens, we pass through Esuma. So if we weaken Esuma, then we are doomed.
The whole sector commander of the Customs Division, Senor Teria Ameibo, confirmed the traditional leader's assertion, stating the whole sector now struggles to meet revenue targets.
Before I talk, I would want to tell Nana of Asukuma that the opening of the border is not directly from the Commissioner of Customs, but from the Vice President, that all borders should be open except the Dabala and one on the Lubo Road. So this is a Vice President's order, and who are we to disobey his orders? So if there's any disagreements, we can. I don't know. We would rather have to channel it through you as a custodian of the town to talk on our behalf. The rate at which we are losing revenue, it is affecting the Sukuma collection. Either two, we rope in much revenue as much about almost 400,000 Ghana cedis every year. But now we cannot even talk about 50,000 Ghana cedis. So what you have said is really true. But since it's a directive from the Vice President, we cannot say anything otherwise. But I think you being the custodian of the town, whatever you say would carry a weight. So we even plead with you that you will be our mouthpiece to talk on our issue.
Fred Kwame Asare's report for Joy News.
of Parliament for La Dadekotofonia Masa Namwale has accused the Greater Accra Regional Executives of giving unfair advantage to former President Mahama in his bid to lead the party again. He said playing Mr. Mohammed's campaign songs at the just-ended regional executive elections was inappropriate, explaining leaders of the party must provide equal grounds for the delegates to elect the right person to lead the party. Mr. Namale believes the NDC will not be able to wrestle power from the MPP with former President Mahama as its presidential candidate. According to him, Professor Joshua Alabi remains the surest bet for the party. He spoke in an exclusive interview. Joy News' Emmanuel Juvenu.
Definitely, I know Greater Accra will win the seats. We win all the seats that we lost. I have shown that Kotopa will win, other places will win. I'm very sure, I'm confident of that. But about this 9th Greater Accra Regional Delegate Conference, I think you have been here enough. And you heard the song that we were playing in favor of one flag bearer. Is it fair? Is it fair? Somebody will say the person is powerful. He's popular. Everybody is going to vote for him. He is the only candidate that is going to get it easier. Is that what they were saying? Why are you springboard cheating? We are not doing flag bearer election here. If we are doing flag bearer election here, the grounds must be fair, flat for everybody. But they are playing John Mama's song here. To tell people, oh, John Mama is the candidate, John Mama is the candidate. Yes. This is one thing that I would say the executive or the organizers of the conference fail. Because we have so many NDC songs. So many. They could play them, but why are you cheating?
But we also saw the likes of Joshua Alabi, whom you are supporting, also being put on the stage. Don't you think that's also an undue advantage?
All ministers. I can go to the stage. I've been a minister before. Sharaita is there. You understand? Sharaita is not an executive member. Former ministers. They were all former ministers. He has been a Greater Accra chairman before. So if he's on the platform, there is no way John Mama will come here and will not allow him to go to the podium. There's no Rollins who come here and will not allow him to go to the podium. Do you get what I'm saying? So there are people that are allowed to go to the podium. But we are all campaigning. But to play a particular candidate's song to tell people that he's the candidate is most unfair.
Mohammed Salim Ali has also been explaining why he lost in the 2016 parliamentary elections. According to him, some members of the NDC ganged up against his re-election, thereby losing the seat to the MPP's Vincent Soa Odote. Mr. Namale believes he has served his constituents well enough for 12 years and will not run for the seat come 2020.
When you are going for election, there may be people who may not like you. So they will gang up against you to make sure you don't win the election. But they thought if I'm losing and they are winning, that we are winning the presidency. But little drops of water make a mighty ocean. So me losing and others register to others losing and others losing, then we lost the election. I'm forgiving them. I am an NDC member. I'm forgiving them. And maybe I'm going to vote for some of them. So I want one party, our party, to move forward. That's all what I want.
Are you saying that some executives in the Greater Accra region must up to see to it that you were defeated in the parliamentary elections?
I said some people in the region and even some people in the national. But all these things, to me, is not necessary. Once they gang up against you and you are not able to fight it, then you are not a good politician. So I think that I wasn't a good politician because you have seen through it and you have to overcome them. That is politics. So I lost, but I'm still an NDC member. And some of them, I'm going to vote for them. You know the reason why? Because they were smart enough to outwit me. So they are smart enough for us to win the elections.
Are we seeing you back contesting for the parliamentary elections?
No, I'm not contesting for the parliamentary election. I think I've served my constituency 12 years. Unless the unexpected happen. But some other people too should come and try their luck.
You are for Joshua Alabi, who is also going to vie for the flag bearership against John Dramani Mahama. Why are you throwing your support for this individual?
Professor Alabi is not standing against John Mahama. He's standing against 9 other candidates or 10 other candidates. So it's a democracy. And he's the person that I think is the best for the NDC.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers says government must, as a matter of urgency, provide critical conditions of service needed to run the double-track SHS program. Government announced the new system to contain the increased enrollment after the introduction of free SHS. But NAT says the double-track system will suffer if the schools lack the tools for effective academic work. Joining us, Joseph Akable has been speaking to the NAT General Secretary, David Echampong, for Joy News Agenda.
The new program of the double-track system is all in furtherance of ensuring that every child in Ghana
a president passionate about education making a case for a policy that seems to earn him so much plaudits and an equal measure of criticism. That's almost 12 months after the rollout of the free SHS policy. General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, David Echampong, recalls the increase in enrollment presented teachers with a bigger workload.
The numbers were bigger than the spaces available. So definitely we had too many students in the classroom, which in itself indicates that you cannot do pure and good academic work. Because the teacher has to go through the class to ensure that everybody is doing what they're expected to do. They didn't get an opportunity because of the huge sizes that the class had.
Mr. Echampong tells Joy News they received news of the double track with excitement.
So the issue of the double tracking, I think it's a good decision, it's a good innovation, because number one, it is going to reduce the number of students in our classes. Two, it is going to afford all these 180,000 students an opportunity to be educated. So in that wise, we think it's a good exercise.
He, however, says reducing the class size through 2 tracks may not necessarily improve academic performance, since other challenges confront teachers.
Sometimes when you go there and you have facilities available to you, you have good classrooms, you have good environment, you yourself, you have been sent to a village, you have a decent place to stay. That is motivational enough. But in a situation where a teacher will have to get up around 5 o'clock, go to stand by the roadside and wait for the only taxi, which picks about 8 people to where the school is located, that becomes a disincentive.
He also wants government to be prepared to pay teachers extra if the system will force them to work beyond maximum hours.
It looks like most people are operating within the 16-25. But if the 25 is the maximum, and our teachers are going to work beyond 25 hours in a week, definitely that is extra responsibility. We have spoken to the ministry about that. If a situation of that nature persists, then they'll have to compensate our teachers.
NAT says although it supports the project, it must not be a permanent solution.
We hope and pray the government is going to take the provision of infrastructure seriously, because I did inform the minister that we are going to keep an eagle eye on the projects they will do in our schools, so that within the 5 to 7 years we can revert to the normal system when we have both tracks running at the same time.
Now, it turns out President Akufo-Addo's mantra of being in a hurry may be costing the Education Minister his nap. From free SHS through the double-track system to the new curriculum for basic schools and teacher trainees licensure exams, all running in the educational sector, the Minister of Education must be under a lot of pressure. Minister of Education Matthew Poku-Prempeh, speaking at the Jollyphonic conference in Accra, admitted the introduction of new policies and restructuring in the education sector is depriving him of his beauty sleep.
Education is so important for this country and so important as a vision of the president that every time he meets me, he would ask a question about education that astounds me. The last time we met, not the last time we met, he said, "What are you doing for teachers?" So this thing, Napo, if we don't do something for teachers, we won't make headway. That was the president. The next time he said, "This language thing, what is it about?" The other time it was, "This curriculum, when are you going to finish?" So every time, right? Every time. Four big goals. We have to revive or reform the curriculum to deal with the 21st century issues. And the curriculum move, the pupil curriculum and the teacher reform curriculum. We have to take technical and vocational education seriously. We have to do free SHS and now double track. And we have to look at tertiary education in opening up for more pupils, especially the poor and the vulnerable. 4 big issues. It keeps me sleepless. And I'm always awake.
A demonstration against poor roads in Domi Kwabenya was foiled because protesters failed to notify the police. Angry residents of Domi Kwabenya, who had gathered to remind their MP Adjua to fulfill promises of fixing roads in the constituency, went home disappointed. They, however, pledged to reorganize more demonstrations until their roads are fixed. Joshua Smith's report.
Carrying placards with different inscriptions, residents chanted war songs demanding that their roads should be fixed with urgency. Residents say apart from the general discomfort of slumping into potholes, pregnant women suffer more when using the road.
Our road had been destroyed. Damage, total damage. Adjua came and stand here, demonstrate and tell us she's coming to do the road for us. We should vote for her. We did it, as she said it. But so now, our road has been destroyed. The road has been destroyed. If pregnant women want to go to hospital, they suffer. Some are bought in the car, some are bought in the taxi. So the road has been destroyed, damaged. We are seeking for her to come and do the road for us.
Some angry protesters shared their experience using the terrible roads.
What would you say, would you agree with this particular demonstration that is going on here?
I support this 100%. I've been planning this route for the past couple of months now, and looking at what I'm asking myself, what is the difference between from Atomic Junction to Runabout? I don't know the same people who live in the same community. So whether there's an asphalt from all the from Action to Runabout, but from Runabout to Abom Junction here, the road is bad. So I'll be asking myself, what is the problem?
In fact, the state of the road is very bad, as you can see yourself. And I will urge the authorities, the Minister of Roads and Highways, Honorable Kwasi Amakwata, and then the MP for the area, Honorable Adjua, they should kindly do something on the road. The road is very bad. Look at how the drivers are suffering. They should do something about it for us. We are begging them. They will come again 2020 to plead for us to vote for them. And it's very bad. They should do something about the road.
However, the Kwabenya police halted the demonstration exercise, arguing that although residents had the right to assemble and demonstrate, they failed to notify them.
We were not informed, so we have no idea about this demonstration. It is causing chaos on the road. People are not getting access to their destinations, so we have to come in and make sure we disperse them, for them to do the right thing before they can come back on the road for their demonstration. In such situations, we have to be present and make sure traffic flow. We make sure no distraction is caused to any property. We make sure nobody is harmed in such demonstrations. If you fail to inform police, then it means you have a motive of doing that. And so we will not sit down unconcerned. We have to come in and disperse them. For them to go back and reorganize themselves, write to us, for us to organize ourselves, for us to guide them on their demonstration.
The Kwabenya police arrested the leader of the demonstration, agitating other protesters. The disappointed protesters said they would not give up, promising they would notify the police next time and hit the streets again. Joshua Smith's report for Joy News.